Welcome back, everybody, and now we'll be using our first API. It's a simple API from the French government. You give it the postal code and it gives you in response the name of the commune. This one is very easy and simple API. This is the link of the official technical explanation of the API. We'll be giving the link in the description. But from this description, we can already use the API. For example, I was doing just some tests right now to prepare the explanation. But for example, let's say we want to do 45,000, which is Nantes, and we execute. Now we see that it was loading. We give us some response, the URL that is using, and the curl command that you can use from terminal. And you can see here the response body. We have the postal code, the one we did give, the commune code, which is actually specific for France. It's just each commune has its specific code. Which is given from this institute, which is INSEE, and the name of the commune and the label of the commune. So we can see here we have the response code, which is 200. This is HTTP response 200, which is like a good response, that we have the response from the server, and the body of the response. Here we can see the header and all the information that was sent in the header. We will see that more in detail in some other example. This is just an introduction to APIs with a simple one, so you can understand and start using SOAPUI. And after that, we'll be doing more complex example, which you can follow and use yourself. Now, if I go check this URL and use it in my browser, you can see we'll be having the same answer, the same response of them from the server. Or modern browser, any browser you use, they can handle this. Exchange and will give you the answer. And as you can see here, you can have the response. The thing is, like, from to get information, like browser, they will do this like easily. They will be having trouble to do like post and put, and you will need to use some specialized extension to do that. But what interests us is using SOAPUI. Now, as you can see, the layout is very clean, very simple. You open your SOAPUI, and now we want to start using our REST API. So, because the API is REST, what you can do here is come to projects and create empty projects. Sorry, I did a mistake. That's also not what I wanted to show. But create a REST project. Sorry, and when you want to create a REST project, they will give you this URL, and you can copy paste the URL. The question is from where I get this URL. If I go back to what I was explaining earlier, you see here, like here, it's the URL that was used actually. That we use for getting the information. As we can see, if we go to the documentation, the URL is composed from two chunks. The base URL, which is this one. Okay, this is the base URL, like it's until alpha. This is the base URL. It's HTTP apicarto.ign.fr, and the API. Here we don't have the API. Here we just have a link for the documentation. If we go to the documentation, actually, here is the second part of the link actually that we'll be using. The first part is here, what we were saying earlier. This is the base, and this is the patch or the endpoint. What you need to understand is every API has an endpoint, and you can understand it as like an address, like you're saying to the server, hey, I want this information, and you give the endpoint, so you can go and look for that information. Because if you don't give the endpoint, we don't know actually what you are trying to do. That endpoint actually is very important, because we give endpoint, and after maybe some parameter that you'll be using or other stuff. We'll see that in some other examples, but what you have to understand is like you give the base URL, this is the URL, this is the server that you will be calling, and you give the endpoint, this is what I'm looking for to contact. And as you can see here in documentation, this is the base URL and this is the endpoint, and from there we can have this URL. After finish recording, I saw that I did a mistake. Just to make this point a little bit clearer, the endpoint is here, like you can see here is the api.gouv.fr, and the resource is here, which is api codes-postaux, communes, codePostal. Actually, when I was talking, I just said I did a mistake in saying okay, this is the endpoint and stuff, but just to make this point clear, this is the endpoint and this is the resource, and we actually need the endpoint and we need everything here, like the endpoint, because we want to know what we will call in, and we need the resources to say okay, this is what we need. And after that we have in other cases, not in this one, but in other cases we'll be having like parameters, because some APIs need them, but we'll be seeing that in other videos. Now I will go back to the video. Now what we see here, it's a little bit different, and the difference is here. Actually, if I just do here 44,000, we just create and get APR code with 44,000, but that's not what I want. I want the coastal code to be a variable that I'll be using, and we'll be changing the value at each time. Now after we pass the URL, I will be giving the URL directly in the API URL will be given directly in description also. Now let's say okay, I will create for us the API request. This is our first API request, and you see here we have some variable with the code with a value which is codePostal. Okay, here the first here you can rename your project. If you want a shortcut, you can just F2 and you can name it whatever. For me, I will just name it carto.ign. Okay, now this is here what we call resources. This is what we call resources. The resource is like whatever the API will be doing. In our example, the resource here is the get APR for this endpoint, and the resource that will be using. The thing is, like when we have more complex projects, like we have one project, but we'll be having like 2, 3, 10, 20 resources, and we'll be creating afterward our test suite to do our tests. So now this is the first thing, like our resource and request. What we can do, we can close this one, it's not useful for now. We can do, for example, we do the same example, 54,000. Okay, and I will play our request. Now after playing our request, you see here in the right we have the response. The response you see is in JSON. If I do XML, we'll be having nothing, because we don't have the response in XML, we have it in JSON, and we know it's in JSON. So this is our response. Also one thing we can do is like see the raw response. Okay, when we see the raw response, we have more information. The first information that we have here is the code of the HTTP response, and we can see here like the HTTP is like 200, which is the value for saying it's okay, we have a good response. Okay, we have some information about the header, or some value for the header and stuff, and we have here the body, and we have the response here. Okay, now let's go back to our JSON response. We have the same information that we had earlier. Now we can change also the value here, for example 70,005, which is the 5th arrondissement of Paris. Now if I again play my request, we'll be having 75,005, and it's the 5th arrondissement of Paris. Okay, now this is the first part when we see our API, how we call it, our endpoint and our resource. Now until now we did not do any test. now we did not do any tests. The next step is we are creating our first simple test. Okay, now to create our first simple test, you come here and you'll be creating new test suite. Okay, you can name it whatever you want. I will name it just test carto. Okay, and I created my first test suite. Now we can add new test case, and for example, test for Paris. Let's say this is my test, so we just name it like that. It does not matter actually. And in our test suite, we have our test cases, and in our test cases we have our test steps. Okay, in my test steps I will add in like it's a REST request, and you can name it whatever. I will just name it for now get carto. We'll be talking later when we do more complex project. We'll be talking about the naming convention and stuff. As you can see, like I wrote it like that because like we use this naming convention, and we put like the API in brackets, and after we may put here some description what we want to do. Now this is our test step. Okay, we have to choose from resources. You see here, like because we have already made the resources here, they will give you, okay, this is the resource that I know. Okay, which one you want? Okay, you choose the resource, and now as you can see, we already have our first test step with some information already filled. Now, if I say like we change the value here and we put it something like that. Normally, like when we will be creating, if you create the test step, normally which we create with coastal post. If we create another step here, let's name it like that, and let's name it up request. You see here the value is codePostal, because this is the information that they are getting from the resource. So any change you do into the resource, they will be changed like in the REST request. And whenever you create a new REST request, you will be having changes. And even like in old REST requests, we'll be having changes, like if you add some other fields and stuff. Let's say we add another field, test here, and let's say test. Okay, and we can see here that we'll be having the new information here in the test steps that we already created. Now, this one is not useful, so we'll be deleting it, and to remove it, we'll be pressing this button. Okay, and we can check we don't have it anymore anywhere in our test steps because we removed it from the resource. Now, let's close this one. This one is not useful for us for now. Okay, in our get carto, okay, the value is 70,005. Now, if we play this test step, we'll be having the information that we want. Okay, let's now make our first test. Tests in SOAPUI, they are called assertion. Okay, and to start making your assertion, you come here in assertion tab, and you add a new assertion. Now, as you can see here, there is a lot of different assertion, a lot of different group assertion, and we will not see all of them now. It's not the point, but we will try to do like 2-3 assertion just to show you how you can do some assertion. Okay, now let's see. Our first assertion will be doing is like HTTP status code. Okay, now let's look for the assertion, and what we want to do now is say, okay, if our test will be like that, if the response is 200, the HTTP status code is 200, I want the response to be valid. So like I will check a valid HTTP status code, okay, and I will put the code that I want. Okay, the code that I want is 200. So if the response have a 200, so my assertion will be okay and validated. And here, as you can see, my assertion is in green. So like, because I had 200 response, like response, HTTP response here is 200, my assertion is valid. Also there is like, we use naming convention and stuff, so we actually name the assertion like some explicit things. Here it's all right, because like valid HTTP status, and we can just make like this and 200, for example, to say this is the code that we are looking for, just so can be visible here. Okay, the shortcut for renaming everywhere is F2, or you can just like right click in the mouse and rename, and you see here the shortcut is F2. Okay, now this is our 200 stages. Let's say like I made a mistake and I wanted to look like for the 70,000. Okay, 70,000 does not exist. Like, let's say I want to look for the 70,000. When I look, okay, we'll be having the response here. There is no response. There is no contact actually in the JSON tab. In XML tab, the answer is like not found. We did not find the information that we are looking for because it does not exist actually. Okay, and if we see my assertion here, like it's in red, and it says here response status code is 404, is not an acceptable list of code status code, because here in our list we just gave 200. We said here is the codes that I want, only 200. Okay, and now we say here, okay, we have a 404, okay, which is the HTTP code for saying that we did not find the information, and because of that we will be having this assertion that will break in red, because we don't have it in the list, which is only 200. Now let's say I want I put something that I don't know, like 25,000. Okay, 25,000. I know it's Besançon. Normally we'll be having a good response, and here we have Besançon, and we have the assertion is in green because it's only look at the information of the HTTP response. Okay, now what we want to do also in this step, we want to control that we have the information of for example the 5th arrondissement of Paris. Okay, so now let's change the value. The 5th arrondissement is 70,005, and we play the API, and now we have the 5th arrondissement of Paris. What we want to do is like to actually say, okay, I only want information, that I only accept the information if the answer is in Paris arrondissement 5. So I know that I did the right call. Okay, and so now we'll be doing that, and to do that we'll come here and add an assertion. I was saying like we'll be doing an assertion. Now we will go here to property content, and because we have a JSON, we'll be using the JSON path existing match. Okay, this actually, if we read the description, it says like use a JSON path expression to select content from the target properties and compare the result to the expected value application to any property containing JSON. Okay, which is mean that that we'll be doing sorry, we will not be using this one. We will be using more like JSON path match. Actually, the difference between the two, I will explain this one. This one is just like we go here into this information like no commune, name of the commune, and we'll be saying okay, the name of the commune should be Paris 5th arrondissement. And the difference between these two, like the first one, like existing match, is just saying like we want to look if it exists. The second one, we want it to be exactly this information. Okay, so here our JSON path match will be our dollar, okay, and point. Every JSON path expression will be starting with the dollars and point. And now we can, for example, let's say I made valid up. Let's say I said codePostal, okay, and if I select from current, okay, I have a valid invalid expression, and that's because I need another one here. Okay, now I will explain to you why I did 2 points instead of 1. The thing here, if we see here in our JSON path, in our JSON response, we have two, like we have the first one here, okay, and in that body we have another bracket and the information. So this one is just saying the first one, like it's the first one, okay, because we have this one and we have bracket. Normally in others we have directly bracket and we don't have the first one, okay, parentheses. We don't have the parentheses, and now because of this example we have parentheses, we have to put the first one, then the second, okay. So just say, okay, I am in the first here, now I am here, and now I'm looking for this one. Now if we look for this one, you see when I did select from current, it gives me the information that it got from the information from the JSON path that I did. The issue here, or not the issue, but the specificity here, if we look carefully, you'll be seeing here parentheses. Actually, because here the response we have parentheses, so it means that we have a table, okay. We can have multiple information or multiple items in this table, and because of that we in the response or in our test also we have to make those parentheses, because in the JSON path, okay, when we enter the parentheses, we send only tables, okay. Each time we send tables because we enter the parentheses, and parentheses it's there for tables, and when we have this kind of information that we send tables, it's always tables. Just saying this to explain this example why it's like this. We'll be doing some other example, and we do another example, and we will see more examples with more explanation. I will give more explanation later, and when we do complex example, we'll be seeing like the parentheses and different items, and it will be more clearer for you. But this one is a very simple one, so we just do 2 points and code postal, and which will give us 70,005. Now, what we said, we wanted to verify the no commune. Okay, now we just make no commune. We select from current, and which give you exactly the information there. Now, what we did is just like we did the JSON path expression, and the expected result, we just said, okay, select to me from the current JSON path expression, select to me the result, okay, because now we know the result. We have it in front of us, and we can just do like this to select from the current information, and it will be easier for us. We can do also like if we create another JSON path, okay, another JSON path match. Now, okay, and I do like this, and for example, let's say I do code postal. Now you can come here actually and put it by hand, the information, okay, and put it by hand. You can click and test and see if you have a good response or not, if it match or it does not match, okay. But most of the case you can just, if with experience and stuff, you just put the JSON path expression and you select from current, and because you already checked like manually with your eyes, and you checked, okay, this is the information I'm here and I am getting this is the information I'm here, I am getting this information, okay. If I select from current, okay, this is good, this is the one I'm looking for, okay, and you can save it, and you have your assertion of the information that you need. Okay, let's go back here. The same principle. We have a table here because the parentheses. We have a table, so the information sent back will be in parentheses. Okay, and this button is like for testing your assertion. Actually, like let's say I did a mistake and I put here like T like this, and I will do the test. Oh, I will say, okay, this is failed, and it's failed because like the comparison failed, okay, because whatever you like the patch was expecting this one, okay, because expecting the information that you made here, okay, this is the result you expected, okay, expected the result, and actually was this, okay, the real answer was this, the real information we got, not necessarily the real answer, but the real information we got was this one, okay. So your assertion is not good, your assertion is breaking because of that. Now we know for this example that your assertion is not good because we changed actually something, but let's say our test is like to make sure that we sent 70,005, that we sent 70,005, and in this place we haven't Paris fifth arrondissement. Okay, let's say some other person, like they're doing the test also, and they work on the same project, and they changed by mistake this value. Now if you play it, okay, your assertion will be breaking. Okay, you have now you can actually try to understand and see like how the information are used. Okay, we have a status 200. Okay, so we said, okay, we know that the API is working and it's sending us the information, we can reach it and stuff and send back the information. Okay, here in my JSON patch we have, okay, comparison failed for this information, like for the path, like for your commune name. Okay, what we was expecting is Paris 5th arrondissement, but we had Paris 6th arrondissement. I said, oh, okay, so now the information here is changed. Okay, and here also the comparison, like for your JSON patch expression for postal code, like we were expecting this information, but we get this information. Now from this assertion, okay, you can go and say, okay, what happened? Okay, is the information like changed in the API, or maybe I screwed up on my test, or whatever. Okay, like and a lot of times, for example, because what I work with, like complex APIs, and like we have like APIs that call other partners with other APIs, and it's the code that actually made the API. So whenever we have the call, just to explain it a little bit better, whenever we have a call from the public API, we have another API that call a partner, which give us some information, and we gather information from multiple partners, then we give it in the response of the public API. Okay, so sometimes what happens, like your information here is good, and your information is good, but because of the call of one partner, okay, there is some mistake, or the partner changed the information or whatever. Okay, so your assertion breaks. And now when you see, like, you see assertion with assertion break, and you go back and you see, okay, this field is coming from this API, this field is coming from this partner, and so on, you can understand what actually happened, and you can go and see either way, change your code, change your tests, depending on the situation. If like the information changed because it should be, then it's your test that it should change. Or if there is an error in the call, then there is some coding to do. Okay, so the development people should like go and change the code, so it will give the right call for the partner. Or if sometimes it's like the information changed because of mistake on the partner side, so the partner should change their information to actually give us the right one. Okay, so this one was like very simple API, very simple example, just to get used to SOAPUI. Just be aware, because they have a limit, like limit is like 50 call each second from the same IP. So just be aware of it. They're actually banning people. They don't want like the API to be overloaded. So they actually not ban, but if you like make a lot of calls, they actually limit you, and they stop your API from making calls for sometimes and so on. So because they just want their server to break. And Also, it's a free API. It's complicated sometimes to find some free APIs when you can use to demonstrate and show for people and to show to people and for educational purpose. This one is a free. They don't have require any token and no anything. You just go check the information and try it. So this was our first example of APIs, which give you just to wrap up, which give you just a first impression on SOAPUI and how to use it, and you can understand and see how APIs work. You can play with it. Here it's the resources. You can actually make call with resources. That's fine. Also, you can just make call with the resource. Okay, for example, this one is just say 400 and it's invalid. Postal code is invalid. Okay, because it was not expecting like code postal, but expecting some number. And if we put any number here up, like say 44,000, you can make a call up. You can make a call, and it will give you the information. Here is the resource, and you create test switch, then test case, then test step, and you can have you can have your first example and do some assertion. So we'll be seeing you in the next video with a more complex API and more explanation for you.